He's like playing a video.
Invite Fenton! Destroy video film!
Hello, Jasons and Melissas, and welcome back to the fourth and final season of Rewatching Home Movies, a weekly watch-along podcast where three friends break down the 1999 animated series Home Movies. My name's Tim, and I'm obsessed with home movies.
My name's Adele, and I'm a home movies newbie.
And my name's Marcin, and I've never seen home movies.
Home Movies Season 4, Episode 4, titled The Heart Smashers. Original air date, January 25th, 2004 on Adult Swim, written by Brendan Small, Bill Broadus, and cast, directed by Lauren Bouchard, and produced by Jack Ferriolo. Synopsis for this episode: Brendan tries to finish an underwater horror project while Paula tries to break up with her new boyfriend. Meanwhile, Coach finds himself on an interesting fitness journey.
What an episode.
The Heart Smashers?
Okay, you know what? I'm just going to say it right now. There was an episode earlier in this series that had a name that would have been significantly better for this episode.
Pizza Club.
Pizza Club. Thank you. Fat her. No, there was an episode. Paula has the kitchen fire. Her mom shows up. Paula, how's your fire? I'm getting a divorce. And that episode was called Breaking Up is Hard to Do.
Oh, holy shit, you're right.
So this episode is called The Heart Smashers, and it is, extensively, it's about Brendan and Paula both having a very hard time ending a relationship.
I mean, one of them should have already been gone. Should have been ended a long time ago.
Fenton?
Yes.
Let's kill him.
Hate! Fenton! Hate!
We'll get into all that and some more, I'm sure. But first, we must get into the Creative Corner, shall we? The Creative Corner, of course, is something in the realm of creativity we're consuming or producing we want to bring to light. By contractual obligation, bring us in. Count.
Creative Corner. Doodly doo.
What a guy.
He actually helped with the dishes the other day. It was very nice.
No, you think he helped, and he made you do it.
But he was very nice about it.
Yeah, and he had his dick out the whole time, so...
It was kind of a motivational thing.
He's twirling it around. He was like...
I'm like, oh, shit.
Helicopter.
Who would like to go first for this Creative Corner, or shall I?
I'll go first.
That's Adele.
I have to apologize, guys. I'm so sorry.
Creative apology?
I'm you know what? No, I'm not apologizing. I'm double dipping and I'm redoing an old Creative Corner. And when I say old Creative Corner, it was my Creative Corner maybe like 6 episodes ago. I did Sleep Token for Creative Corner quite a few episodes ago. And ever since then, they came out with a new album. And I feel like I did it too soon. But yeah, their new album, Even in Arcadia, came out. And holy shit, it's really good. A little more rant about Sleep Token. I personally enjoy the band because it has a lot of shadow work in it. So it's a lot of like trauma healing and emotional release. And if you are stuck in your emotions, go listen to that music. I'm not going to harp on it too long. You guys already know I'm obsessed. So just go listen with headphones because like that makes it way better. I mean, it's going to sound great. It's just not going to sound as good as it would if you listen to. I'm just so obsessed I get flustered talking about them. I just love them so much. And they're so talented and so great. And just go listen. And I'm done. I'm done talking. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, wait,
I'm not going to apologize. Apologizes. I'm not going to apologize. Apologize.
Yeah, well, also go watch the TV Glow because that will... That's life.
Yeah, that's me, baby.
Don't apologize, but end apologizing.
Sleep Token is good, and you told them to go listen to it before the album came out, and so when the album came out, it was a little treat for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's absolutely okay if Sleep Token was your creative corner a handful of episodes ago, and then their album is your creative corner this episode.
And listen, today was the first day of their tour, so they are in Germany right now touring, and there has been many videos and many pictures of them in concert, and I'm not able to go to their tour. So every time I'm seeing it, I'm fighting back tears. I'm like, I can't see them live. I'm never going to see them live because, of course, it's one of those bands where it's $500 for a ticket. So
It's not their fault. It's Ticketmaster. It's Ticketmaster. Ticketmasters. There are masters. We should obey.
Yeah.
Obey. Consume.
Yeah.
But Sleep Token, I'm sure we'll have a nice song about it.
I'm sure.
I think that came up in my liked at some point because I had my like playlist and I was just laying in bed. I didn't choose the right playlist. I hit my liked instead of my sleep playlist, and then all of a sudden the Sleep Token song came on. It was really nice at first, but then it got really dark.
Yeah.
And then I was wide awake.
That's my shit. I like stuff that keeps me up. Actually, edit that out. I don't, because the stuff that keeps me up, I don't like.
Well, very, very good creative corner, Adele.
I just can't talk about them without stumbling over my words. I feel like, you know how when you see videos of girls fangirling over the Beatles and screaming, I always would roll my eyes, but it's not that deep. Calm down. And then Sleep Token gets brought up. I'm like, what? And I have nobody to talk about it with because nobody listens to them at the level that I do, except for Sterling. But Sterling doesn't talk to me, so I'm just I have nobody to talk about this with.
I guarantee you, if you reach out to Sterling and be like, hey, I need to talk to someone about Sleep Token, he'll be like, yes, let's do it.
Oh, my face is warm. Okay.
Marcin, would you like to go next, or would you like...
I will go next. Well, it's Rick and Morty time. That's a joke for Nate. You can cut that out.
Just send it to Nate.
Nope. Rick and Morty's your creative corner now.
No!
Locked in.
No!
Oh, you've changed.
I mean, I used to like it.
I don't think I've ever watched it.
It's fine. So my creative corner is an audio drama. I listen to a lot of audio dramas. I'm always so jealous of them, of the soundscape, of the writing, of just how they create it. But there's this one that specifically struck me recently. I'm part of this Reddit that is just an audio drama Reddit, and it's very small with a bunch of creators who just drop their audio dramas and ask people to participate, support their stuff. And one creator, Kyle Brown, dropped an audio drama, and as soon as I heard the name, I was like, I gotta listen to it. And it's called Reno Championship Wrestling. And it's set in the 1990s. Essentially a wrestling promotion. It goes from what happens outside in the actual ring, but then things that happen behind the curtain. And it's actually a pretty in-depth look of how the actual performance happens and how the people who portray these characters in the ring go about the business in the back. And in the first episode, one of the champions of RCW dies in the middle of the ring. He was supposed to go over, win. But the person he was facing had to win because he died in the ring, so he became the champion. And it talks about how all of these shenanigans go about, and you kind of have to come up with these decisions on the fly. And there's a lot of professional wrestling lingo that you learn because they're just talking like professional wrestlers do, especially in the 1990s. I'm going to read the premise real quick. In 1994, a dying wrestling territory and its ragtag group of misfits try to make their way to the top of the wrestling world just ahead of a late 1990s resurgence in popularity. It's really good. I've actually had a really good time with it. There's only a handful of episodes out right now, I think 11 or 12. And they're pretty short, 20 minutes, 30 minutes long. Sometimes they get longer, sometimes they get shorter. But they're really well written. And a lot of the voice actors are really good. It's a really good series.
And what was it called again?
Reno Championship Wrestling.
Is there a specific place to get it, or is this a wherever you get podcasts kind of thing?
Pretty much wherever you get podcasts. But yeah, it's really good. And if you have any type of interest in professional wrestling, and if you don't, but you're interested to know how the business might operate or the lingo or anything like that, it's really fun. It's really insightful. And there's a lot of characters that you listen to that are in so many different facets of the business. You have the promoter who's writing the story and who's making all the decisions. a veteran of the business who wants to like get out of the business. You have an up and comer, you have a rookie, you have everybody. You kind of get like a really big understanding of how the business operates and some of the stereotypes or tropes of the business. But it's really good, and I highly recommend it.
And you said it takes place in 94?
Yeah, 1994. So for professional wrestling fans, that's like during the steroid scandal with Vince McMahon and everything, and it's right before the Attitude Era kicks off, before like professional wrestling like really explodes. It's really good, and it's really intriguing.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
Brother, because we're talking about wrestling.
These are your union brother.
He is not a union brother.
What, pray tell?
Ugh. All right. Well, that would just leave me and my creative corner. My creative corner, I'll try to keep it a little short and sweet. Dude, I've been on a really good streak lately with Facebook Marketplace. 1 week ago from where we are in time right now, I saw a listing on Facebook Marketplace for a Meta Quest 2, which is one of those VR headsets. You don't need to hook into a computer. It's all pretty much built in. So I have been trying to mess with that as much as I can. Now, here's my biggest issue with VR, and it is a little bit of a cautionary tale, because if you would like to make the argument that our cellular devices are a form of escapism, I would definitely agree. But if you subscribe to that, then VR is like that to the fucking 1000th degree. You can get so fucking lost in that shit.
Mm-hmm.
It is wild. But the one thing I have been enjoying in VR, and this is going to tie into a little bit of a plug for a previous interview they did for Steve Rogan. He mentioned this at the end of the interview. Steve Rogan has a VR headset, and he uses this free program called Big Screen to host these rooms where people can come in, and he paints in a 3D VR space. And so I've been messing around with some VR art apps. They've been very fun and very interesting. And so my thing is, if I'm going to put time into this VR headset, there's essentially 3 things I can use it for, which is art, games, and some kind of fitness type stuff. I was playing a game where you like punch stuff in a rhythm, and I was sweating a lot. So I just want to make sure this VR headset gets used more on the side of the creating art in a 3D space and fitness, and then, you know, games will be like a fun little side thing. But the first time I got into VR and really started moving around, I'm like, I'm going to throw up immediately. So I know some people don't do well with it, but I've been having fun with it so far. It's wild. Because it's the MetaQuest, there's a lot of stuff like, oh, go to these worlds, or there's virtual movie theaters where you can sit in. But, dude, it is so filled. I feel like these VR headsets are the new, like, here, go play with your iPad, kid, get out of my face. Because they are just dominated by very loud children with microphones.
Yeah.
I got to play it with it a little bit just when you first got it. And when you say it's like next level, it's very next level. Whenever you're not playing it, you're like, if you want to play it, go ahead. And I've been kind of like keeping it at arm's length because I am definitely already addicted to my phone. And holy shit, would I very much so become addicted to that form of escapism where you feel like you're in a completely different reality. Because you do. And your mind doesn't forget, but your body forgets.
100%.
And that shit kind of freaks me out a little bit. But the immersiveness of it all is on a level that I wasn't expecting. It's like very impressive. I was able to like have my own little Sleep Token concert and live vicariously that way. But yeah, I mean, it's a very impressive piece of equipment for sure. I'm just like, oh, I cannot get addicted to you.
Yeah.
You're over there.
Speaking of feeling like you're immersed, Adele still roasts me a little bit about this, but the very first day I had it, I had an app that I was like shooting hoops at a basketball court, and I was so like in the VR space that I like
Tell him.
I jumped up to like do a layup, and I completely like punched the ceiling with one of the control. There's a little dent in the
Yeah.
people live above us.
I was like, my man doesn't punch walls, he punched ceilings.
Like he's Mario.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly like that.
Oh, God.
Yeah, the MetaQuest 2, it's fun, but it's...
Yeah, the whole, like, parents giving that to their kids, that part, like, pisses me the fuck off. But I'm not going to go off in the creative corner, so...
I messed with VR headset at least one other time, and I did throw up on the way home. It was rough. And with the VR coming on, I have this like weird theory in my head that like everyone says like we're living in a virtual reality, and it's like we just keep going deeper. So now we're in a virtual reality, and then we create
the next level.
Yeah, we create another virtual reality, so our virtual reality selves go into another and then we just keep going deeper, deeper, and deeper.
Yeah, if you believe in the simulation theory, you're like, what are you doing, VR? It's like the layer within the layer, man.
And then meanwhile, Marson sends a picture of the bucket heads from the SpongeBob movie.
They're gonna get you guys.
Is he wrong though?
No.
Is he wrong?
Literally, I'm about to buy a Razer phone and say fuck it, because like, oh boy.
Wild times, my guy.
And that was my semi-dystopian creative corner.
Tim talked about me getting one, and I was like, would it be extra dystopian if we're just sitting here not talking to each other on our headsets? I don't know how that would look.
You guys go on a date in VR? That's your honeymoon?
Here's the thing, dude. If we had this shit during COVID, it would have been fucking phenomenal. We would have been going on dates in VR, 100%.
Sure.
Are you guys ready to break down this episode?
Yes.
Oh, the Heart Smashers.
Heart Smashers.
Did anybody catch in the very opening scene?
Oh, you already told me about this.
The gnome?
Yes.
Ah.
So this episode opens up not with a TV, but we see like an underwater scene with a submarine floating by. On the very bottom of the ocean floor, I guess, is a gnome wearing an eye patch. We zoom into the sub and we see Brendan, Jason, and Melissa are inside. That's when we see Brendan dressed kind of like a nerd, talking to Jason as the captain. Brendan is asking, when will we find what we're looking for? And Jason says, of course, you are referring to the magical, gigantical Septopus. And Brendan confesses, yes, that is why he's down here. Jason goes on to explain that the Septopus is a horrible beast with 7 testicles.
Tentacles.
Brendan quickly corrects him and says tentacles. That's when Melissa jumps in. I'm weirdly happy that she said, did someone say tentacles?
Oh, I very much expected her to go, did somebody say testicle?
Yeah. Brendan confirms they are indeed looking for the Septopus, and Melissa says to mark her words because the Septopus is a ferocious beast that will snare your very soul. And they say that those who search for it will be possessed and go mad and get turned into idiots. I think at this point, like, she's like cradling Jason.
Yeah, she's like all over Jason, and they're like making eyes at each other.
Yeah, she was rubbing up on him, like really rubbing up on him.
He wasn't pushing her off.
Well, obviously he was. He's the one.
All right, so this next little bit between Jason and Brendan is always something that makes me laugh, and maybe I'm reading too much into this, but the bit kind of unfolds like this, right? Brendan says hogwash, and Jason says poppycock, okay? So then Brendan says poppywash, combining those two words. Now, if we continued with this convention of switching the words, what would the next logical thing be?
Hogcock?
Hogwash, poppycock, poppywash.
Hogcock.
Did you guys get your hogcock letter yet?
I think at one point Jason even is like, hog wash again. But while this conversation is happening, it looks like Jason, is basically laying in Melissa's lap. They're having a little bit of a moment.
They really are. They were like looking into each other's eyes and shit.
I thought they were going off script because they are literally looking at each other. Like, Jason's got his arms behind his head. He's got his legs crossed. I was not comfortable with this scene.
They're going to get married.
Jason goes on to say that her tales don't frighten them. Brendan agrees, saying no one has ever been possessed by a 7-tentacle sea fish. And that's when we see the shadow of the stowaway who is possessed. Well, we pull back to reveal that it's Fenton Muley.
Marston's favorite character.
Yeah, Marson made a noise. I heard it.
Why is he here? Like, every time he's ever been invited anywhere, it's always ended in disaster.
Because he's always wanted to be in a video film.
He's been in one.
He's wanted multiple.
You remember the one where he's like, honk, honk, you're a piece of shit, honk, honk?
That's different.
He wants to be in a real video film. Thank you.
He's like playing a video.
Invite Fenton! Destroy video film!
Oh my God.
Okay.
You'll love to hear it.
Yeah, that's a Grinch reference I can get behind. Thank you.
Go listen to our Grinch episode.
In July.
Yeah.
Grinchmas in July.
I would watch Grinch in July.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, Fenton is very checked out. He is playing a handheld video game. I think at one point he's like, yeah, I'm possessed by the Decapus.
So the video game is of like a sea creature like he's supposed to be.
Yeah, he's fighting a sea creature. Now, I did pause it. The sea creature only has 6 tentacles, not 7. I counted.
But how many testicles does it have?
It kind of looked like it had 2 testicles. I'm not going to lie. It looked very much like a big 2-testicle, 6-tentacled monster. Nope, I got this. 2-testicled, 6-tentacled monster.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
That's Count Orlog.
Well, Brendan, frustrated, calls for cut and sarcastically tells Fenton, good job. So next, we're at what appears to be a stage play, where a guy's telling a woman that if her husband finds out he's there, it'll be cold blimey.
I was going to say in this scene, they really did get like the peak of what British comedy is.
Yeah.
Because I think especially, I think it's later on the same scene, he's like, my bulligan's in a nulligan. And just like, okay.
Tim and I have been influenced, so we've been watching a lot of Taskmaster lately.
Dun, 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 dun.
I just miss British TV in general, so
It's so good.
don't even get me started on Doctor Who right now.
Woo! No.
Have you heard who the new Doctor is going to be?
I did get spoiled on it, which is crazy, because all it was a TikTok of this guy who said, the new Doctor's who? And I knew. I knew.
Sorry, I just had to bring that up.
Right on cue, her husband comes home, so he hides in the closet. But when the husband goes to put his coat in the closet, the gentleman falls out and says, I guess I'm more to the closet.
Happy Pride Month.
Weirdly, we see another guy come out of the closet, and they're like, who are you? And he's like, I'm the closet fixer.
He looks like Rick Mayall, the guy who plays Drop Dead Fred.
May he rest in peace.
We pan over to see that Paula is at a table with a date. She seems very uninterested. Well, her date's name is Simon, and Simon is voiced by comedian Paul Kozlowski.
Do I know him from something? Because he's close to the guy from Princess Bride. Unconceivable, that guy.
Yeah, no, that's not him. I looked him up. I saw some of his comedy from the 90s. When he does the voice of Simon, it's a very, very exaggerated version of his own voice. He talks fairly normally. Simon is pitched up a level. Not like physically pitched up, like energetically pitched up a level.
Gotcha.
He goes on to ask Paula if she still needs his truck for the weekend, and she says she'll probably just hire some people. Again, we see a quick glance of the play, which is evolving into people running around saying stuff like, my bulligan's in a nulligan.
That's pretty funny.
What's all this then?
What's all this? I wrote that down. What's all this then?
Now we're back on set. We see Fenton is heavily editing Brendan's script. Brendan asks if he's making changes, and Fenton corrects him and says he's making improvements. Well, Brendan pushes back, saying that they're under a deadline, and Melissa, almost siding with Fenton, says it is a little wordy, so it's not a big deal. Well, Brendan points out to Fenton that he got the script a week ago, and Fenton says, yeah, but now that he's here and in character, he's seeing that everything is wrong.
I've had this conversation with an actor before.
Brendan again says they're under a deadline and they need to get back to work, and even kind of looks to Jason and Melissa to back him up. But instead, Jason asks to see the marker when Fenton is done with it. That's when Fenton points out that he wrote the theme song to the movie on his way over. And immediately Brendan is like, what? And Fenton starts the song.
Sing it.
Beware the mighty Septopus, such a dandy guy, lives on top the submarine and he's always eating pie. I think but Brendan's like, he doesn't eat pie.
You know, Marcin, as somebody who loves pie, you'd think you'd like the song.
Yeah. Especially because he's always eating pies up there and throwing festivals. He's the grandest guy around with 7 testicles. Septopus. Septopus.
I forgot he did this, and it's crazy because like this was the most annoying thing I heard in the moment. I think I blacked it out and I repressed this. Or everything else that happens in this episode afterwards just was more and more and more, and I just like, oh, what? What the fuck is a septopus? Yeah, I don't give a shit.
The fact that he's singing the chorus, and then from the bottom of the screen come Jason and Melissa, and they're singing along, Septopus, Septopus.
They seem to like Fenton today for some reason.
Yeah, because they haven't had to direct him yet.
But, I mean, they've dealt with him before. They just forgot all the other shit.
I feel like Fenton was bringing an element of having fun to the process of movie making when it's just the 3 of them, it's typically more like business. So yeah, they're having fun. They're playing Red Rover. They're goofing. They're laughing.
Red Rover inside.
Wild.
That's how shit gets broken.
I was not a fan of Melissa and Jason listening to Fenton. I was not a fan. You need a solid front against tyranny, and Fenton is tyranny.
Yeah. You're siding with the enemy.
We cut back to the play, and now Paula is explaining to Simon that he's great, but... And that's when the waiter comes over to take their order. Paula says nothing for her thanks, and Simon orders a quesadilla and a drink, and the server walks away, sarcastically saying, very good, only one dinner at this dinner table. So Paula continues to tell Simon that it's not working out for her, and she's going to break up with him, and immediately Simon drops his glass in shock. So when Paula and Simon are at the play, and especially when Simon's talking, especially when he's like, hey, Paula, lucky number 3, huh? The most I've ever related to a background character in home movies, there is a couple at the table to the side who are staring at him. They're being like, shh. There's one point where they're watching the play. They're like smiling, having fun. And then Simon says something again. And the woman immediately like looks over, like face drops. And it's like, dude, that person trying to enjoy a live show while people are talking, like, so relatable.
Read the room. The whole like third date thing, does that mean he was implying sex?
He was 100% implying they've been on 3 dates, and that's usually when you start getting down.
Ah, interesting, Simon.
The reprieve I was having when we kept going back to the British play, away from Fenton and enjoying this like funny British comedy, and then all of a sudden it goes to Paula and this man on a date, and I was in hell. We kept cutting back and forth to like worse scenarios for me. It just kept cutting back and forth into just the breakup, dude. Simon. So the way that I am feeling about home movies now is when Simon was introduced was like, oh, we found the king of the worst character tier list. We have found the F tier of the worst character tier list because holy shit do I hate Simon.
Do you hate Simon more than you hate
Mr. Lily Law? Yeah. I really can't stand Simon.
More than you hate Fenton?
Dude, in this episode, it's neck and neck. They were crazy.
How about the male and female counselors from Performing Arts Camp?
Wow, it's crazy. Home movies really does love to piss me off.
Because I was gonna say, man, it feels like in season 4 they've really honed in on how to write that annoying, obnoxious character.
Yeah.
I mean, Fenton's been like a day one, but
I don't know, man. I think they've been known how. Like, they keep just introducing them like one right after the other.
well, I mean, this might very much just have to do with the fact that you live life and you meet people like this in real life.
Yeah.
You meet a Fenton, you meet a Simon, you meet a Mr. Lulu Lily. Well, we're back on set with Jason and Melissa. They are painting the background while Fenton is trying to explain that his character would be playing the video game, and that's just part of his motivation. Brendan pushes back, saying that doesn't make any sense, and they're running out of time. So we cut back to the place. Simon is crying on the table. Paul is trying to console him. Simon freaks out, saying he knew it. Story of his life. Paula tries to distract him by saying his food is there. We get a shot of multiple people at different tables just staring at Simon because he's making a scene.
Yeah, I'd say.
Uh-huh.
Well, Paula tries to put her hand on his shoulder and he jumps up and screams, "Don't touch me!"
So many tears. Simon was my doodle twice because at first I thought he was going to be there for like a blink and a miss at character, so I drew him real quick. And then when he was here for a lot longer, I drew him again. And then I drew a third doodle. I think it's at 4:31. There's just an angry woman with a cigarette staring at Simon. And I think that represented who I was this episode.
Oh, Simon. Yeah, the woman sitting there, like, cigarette in hand, just couldn't be bothered.
She's a diva, though.
Do you notice the guy with the spiky hair? That's the kid that McGurk had as, like, a big brother, where he's at the zoo. He's like, "Man, you suck.
Damn.
Buy me a pack of smokes."
And that's why you're the expert, Tim.
Was that the same guy who was like, "Suck the dick, drink the piss"?
Yes.
Psychotic mind freak.
Well, we're back on set with Fenton and Melissa and Jason playing Red Rover. I do like this part because they inevitably call Brendan over, and in classic Brendan Small throat clear says, "Well, I don't think I will be coming over there."
I love that. It's indicative of, sorry, Mrs. Small, I'm not too fond of purple.
Yes.
I really like that. I like that way of speaking.
I love how pissed Brendan gets and how he like gets really calm, but it's an angry calm.
Where he's like,
Not to go too far back, but just the conversation he was having with Fenton where he's like, "No, your character wouldn't be doing this video game." He's like, no, he would. And he's like, "Why?" He's like, "Oh, you're overthinking it. He just would, Brendan." It's like, God damn it, dude. I felt that in my soul.
Brendan goes on to explain, "Guys, we're done for the day. I'm going to go ahead and send everyone home." But then immediately says, "Jason, Melissa, you stay." So we have an excited Fenton running out of the room singing, "Septopus, Septopus." Well, great news. We're back at the play. Simon is crying all over his quesadilla. Paula tries once again to console him, but Simon is still crying. So finally, Paula says, "Fine. We're not broken up." And Simon just resets back to normal and starts eating his quesadilla like nothing fucking happened, you manipulative little bitch.
Yeah, you tell him, babe. Because holy shit, was that switch up quick.
A little too quick.
It was so quick.
Paula, you gotta stand your ground with this guy. And she doesn't.
Timing it real quick. We're not broken up. At 5:10. At 5:10, he's back eating his quesadilla. We're not broken up at 5:10. At 5:10, he's back eating his goddamn quesadilla.
Yeah, not even a thank you. Not even an acknowledgement. Just, okay, this is what I wanted. Let me eat my fucking food.
With a smile on his face.
He knows. He knows.
This is when I wrote Simon is the worst. I don't know what other character might get an F tier of the worst characters in home movies, but Simon, if he's not an F tier, Satan himself is going to rise up at some point in season 4.
As someone who's been the victim of emotional manipulation, it fucking hits a nerve that I just can't.
Let's kill him.
I've said it like 70 times. Well, we're back on set. A very frustrated Brendan is asking Jason and Melissa what they should do. Because of Fenton, they are put an entire day behind schedule. Surprisingly, Melissa tells him to just relax. Jason starts comforting Brendan. I really want to put that in air quotes. He's stroking his hair, he's shushing him, rubbing his shoulders, telling him to relax. And as Brendan tries to explain his side of the story, Jason quietly starts singing the chorus from Fenton's Septopus song in like a soothing style. Septopus, Septopus. Melissa walks over to join in. At that point, Brendan just screams.
That was an Ed scream.
Fair.
That was an Ed scream.
What a time to scream.
It was like that scene from Midsummer when they just start screaming.
Let's all scream together now.
Well, that scream transitions into the next scene, which is Coach McGurk screaming while seemingly working out. So we have a couple different angles of him working out, so we don't really see him like face on. He's working out on the Pec Flexor 3000. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but after my interview with David Santangelo, he sent me a bunch of like drawings that he did. One being like the big guy from the Renaissance episode, the Axeman. And one of them was like a pretty detailed drawing of the Pec Flexor 3000.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even remember that.
Well, that's when we see McGurk in the locker room checking out his new gigantic pecs.
The pecs.
And I even wrote here in my notes, Dear God, they are disgusting.
The soothing sounds of Chicago.
Oh, that was actually the pack siren. They were looking.
They're looking for him.
It went off because these pecs, too big. Too meatball-y. They look like a pair of basketballs.
And they got like grooves in them.
Yeah.
What's with the grooves? Pecs don't have grooves.
Well, real pecs have grooves.
Okay, my pecs don't have grooves.
You know what it reminded me? What I genuinely thought was going to happen with the pecs was that it was going to be like the SpongeBob anchor arms. Something that McGurk had found and like is just wearing. And it was so quick, the cut. The cut from like two very annoying and I don't know. I was not having a good time with those back-to-back scenes. And then all of a sudden, cut, ooh, yeah, ooh. And then giant fucking tits in my face. I'm like, what is going on? I literally wrote down, what the hell is going on?
That is this episode for sure.
We really bounced, like ping-ponged with that A-B storyline with Brendan dealing with Fenton and then Paula dealing with Simon. So to transition to this C plot the way that we did was such a like jump scare.
Yeah. The animators really made the pecs so gross. And I know they did that on purpose, but they were hard to look at.
I have a theory later on in the episode, but we'll get there when we get there.
Write that down. So he's flexing in the mirror, saying, let's shoot the stars, and then saying, well, we killed every star. He bounces them up a couple times, gives it a boom, bada-ba-boom, bada-ba-boom, boom, boom. Dude, they even added, like, the sound effects of his chain whistle, like, bouncing with. Dear God, man.
It disturbed me. The whistle sound disturbed me.
He says, I'm going to get you two out of here, get you a drink. I don't know if you guys caught this little background catch.
Oh, I caught it.
In the background of the locker room, we have two guys showering, and there's like steam, like right around waist level. Towards the end of the scene, one of them drops the soap and falls below the steam to pick it up, and the other guy seemingly joins him.
Hey.
Literally just rewatched it, and it's just like, oh my God, I didn't notice it.
We see Coach McGurk talking to Brendan, asking him if he notices anything different about him. And this is the first time, like, we really see Coach McGurk with his new pecs and a shirt on. It just looks wrong. Brendan asks if he is referring to his giant boobs, and Coach corrects him and says they're not boobs, they're pecs. There's a big difference. Brendan pushes back, but Coach says when you're at a gym, boobs are called pecs. So then Brendan goes on to explain that the other night he saw a movie, and the lady had the nicest pair of pecs he had ever seen in his life.
That one caught me off guard. That one got me.
So Coach says he works out on his pecs 3 to 5 hours a day and says he's trying to get them a little bit bigger.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Also, for people who haven't seen the episode, it's the only thing he's working out.
Right.
Nothing else is being worked out. It's just his pecs.
I wonder how long it took him to get that far in his pec journey.
I mean, if he's only doing pecs 3 to 5 hours a day.
They seem to have sprung up overnight.
I wrote down here, prediction, McGurk pecs will not have a payoff.
Interesting.
Well,
When Brendan asks why the pecs, Coach says that he considers them the most important muscle group. Brendan seems confused and asks what they do, and Coach says, well, he can eat with them. Quickly correcting himself and saying, I can eat off of them. And then proceeds to put some sunflower seeds on his pecs and eat them off.
Anyone going to touch that one, or?
in my notes I put I can eat off my pecs too, but I wasn't planning on saying it.
The way that he slides his tongue across it.
Yeah, it's just all tongue.
Brendan is even like, you kind of stuck your tongue down there. Coach is like, well, it frees up my hands. And Brendan's like, yeah, but you spend 3 to 5 hours a day working on your pecs just so you don't have to use your hands to eat sunflower seeds. And Coach is like, no, it's not just sunflower seeds. I also use them to drive today.
That's crazy. We should try that.
So the fact that he's only working out his pecs, right, to make them bigger, so to speak, and nothing else. I was thinking to myself, why? And I don't know. There's been some signs in the past, like, couple of seasons that might, like, point in a certain direction of why he would want, like, big, quotes, pecs.
I didn't even think of that.
I didn't either until you just said something.
Brain blast. Holy shit.
I saw the TV glow.
Why, later on in the episode, why did he have a bra, like, locked and loaded to...
Yeah, for real.
Stephanie,
Interesting.
come tell me something.
Coach tells Brendan, go ahead and nickname him, Brendan. So Brendan starts, I'm going to call that one Prince Valiant. And immediately Coach shoots it down and says, this one is Big Rig. And this one is Jesse. You know, Big Rig, like an 18-wheeler. And Jesse, because I like the name Jesse.
We all know he was not about to let Brendan nickname his boobs.
No.
No.
That was just a transition to tell Brendan what he nicknamed his own boobs.
Yes. 100% yes.
He likes the name Jesse, though.
It's an all right name. Sure.
Jesse is a friend.
That's when Brendan points out that his mom is looking for some strong people to help her move this weekend and asks if Coach is strong enough to do that. Brendan even says there's a lot of little heavy things that you can place between your pecs. And Coach absolutely sees it as an opportunity to show off his pecs, so he agrees to do it.
Specifically to Paula.
Yep.
He wants to impress Paula.
Yeah, he do.
He wants that second date because we all know what happens on that third one.
Damn, that was like first episode lore.
Yeah.
That seems like a lifetime ago.
I was crying.
It's at that point Coach asks Brendan what he's looking at, and Brendan says he just caught himself staring at your boobs. So now we're at the small residence, and we see Simon is sitting on the couch with a box of chocolates, a heart-shaped balloons, and a flower. He's asking Paula if she really has to do that now. And we cut to Paula, who seems to be cleaning her kitchen. Paula points out she wishes he would have called first, and he says he doesn't have to because they're technically dating.
Simon wants to smash, but the only thing getting smashed is his heart, i.e. the title.
Where's Josie?
Yeah.
Good question.
Oh, wait. I saw her briefly in the back of the car when she drives out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So she was just in the car the whole time?
Yeah, that's where she keeps her.
The windows were down.
Yeah, it was. The windows were down. It was parked in the garage. The car was running. It's fine.
Tim Zakovich.
What?
She's driving with the cleaning gloves.
Like Dexter's mom.
I was just thinking that.
When Simon says they're technically dating, that's when Paula suddenly remembers she has to go run some errands before the stores close. Simon said he's been there for an hour and a half, and the whole time she's just cleaning. It does not seem like a normal couple's behavior.
Hey, help her clean. The fuck?
Or fucking leave.
Simon, let's have a conversation, you and me.
Yeah, a conversation.
Conversation. I kill him.
That's when Paula says she wanted to talk to him about the whole couples thing. So when she says that, we see Simon's like holding a flower. And then when she says she wants to talk about it, the flower like dies. It like goes limp in his hand. When she says that, Simon suddenly tells Paula, no, you need to run those errands quick because places are closing. And yep, we see Paula peeling out of the garage and down the driveway.
So she just left this man in her home alone with her son.
You know, when you say it out loud like that,
Somebody had to.
it sounds kind of shitty.
Yeah. Paula, what are you doing? Paula, take Simon with you. Don't leave him alone with Brendan. You don't know him.
Or take Brendan with you.
Yeah, that's true.
Leave the house behind.
Or take Simon with you to go fishing in the middle of a lake at midnight with no fishing poles.
With baseball bats.
And a baseball bat. We're going midnight baseball bat fishing in the middle of this lake.
Well, I don't want to miss out.
Great news. We're back on set. We have Fenton saying it's not working for him, but we're close, people. As we pan back, we see Fenton is standing next to Brendan's directing chair, and he has a piece of paper over it that has Fenton's name on it instead.
Mm-hmm.
Brendan explains we spent the last 2 hours setting up, so it's probably as good as it's going to get. And that's when Fenton says he has an idea. Brendan gets frustrated and tells Jason to deal with it, and he'll be upstairs. So that's when Fenton tells Jason he wants the big light down, the small one down. That one up there at the top, bring it down.
Fenton, the light god.
Right.
Take it all out, bring it in one at a time. He asked Melissa about the script changes, and she said she made all the changes, and now there's no dialogue, and it's basically just a list of characters. Fenton says good, lose every other character.
So it's just him not saying anything?
Just how Fenton wants it.
Him and his lights.
Just staring into the camera.
Well, Fenton goes on to tell Jason to take everything he just put up, take it down, put it behind him, build it back up. And Jason points out all the scenery is already on this side of the room, and Fenton says one step at a time. He then yells for Melissa, and then yells, cut.
Even when he tells Jason one step at a time, Jason has like a little smile and he's like, you're right, Fenton. Like, what is with the Fenton love in this episode?
Jason likes chaos, and Fenton brings chaos. Because Jason thrives in chaos. In my headcanon, Jason has a terrible home life, and I feel like that's just what he's used to.
Yeah, his parents don't give a fuck.
Also, Fenton's hat. He has like a pink beret that I've never seen in Brendan's house before. He just brought his own pink beret to the shoot because he's the director now. Why give this man power? Why?
I feel like they let him in the movie video film because he like annoyed him so much that Brendan was just like, okay, fine, you can be in it.
You used the word.
I used a few words, actually.
I did notice when I edit these episodes that typically Adele does use words.
Yeah. Comes in handy during a podcast, but, you know, I'm working on it.
011001101.
Beep, 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 beep,
I'll just do
beep,
sign
beep.
language the rest of the
Ah,
episode.
yes, perfect. For our audio-only podcast.
Yeah.
They just hear.
My hands are blowing into the microphone.
I imagine it was like Power Rangers where your hands are moving so fast that there's like swooshing sounds. Like,
They're creating wind. I am the last avatar.
Well, gang, we're upstairs, and that's when Brendan is encountering Simon for the first time. Simon asks Brendan if his mom ever talks about him, and Brendan says he doesn't even know who he is. So I hope that answers your question.
Very chill about there being a strange man in his home.
Yes.
I mean, he's used to when Stephanie comes over, bringing that guy with the trumpet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Simon introduces himself, and Brendan immediately asks, "Where's my mom?" And that's when Simon informs him she left. We're dating. We're on a date right now. He even goes on to say, "Your mother speaks very highly of you, Bernard." As they're talking, we see on the TV in the background, the news is playing. And at first we just have what looks like scandal.
I've never seen the show.
Well, after Brendan walks away, we see it is a picture of the woman and one of the actors from the play that Paula and Simon went to. And the full title underneath is Theater Scandal.
I noticed now that we were watching for the second time with headphones, you could faintly hear that they were saying something on the TV, but I couldn't make out what they were saying because Simon was fucking flapping his jaw.
Right. And it's so quiet. And if you were to like turn it up very loudly to try to hear it, then Simon and Brendan talking would be incredibly loud.
Yeah,
so.
my ADHD can't handle that shit.
So Brendan proceeds to tell Simon that Fenton is driving him crazy. And he even asks Simon if he's ever met someone who just doesn't get the message. You know, a guy who can't take a hint. And even calls him a relentless, imposing weirdo. Simon agrees with every single sentence, creepily like leans in, especially during the relentless, imposing weirdo. He's like leaning in like, mm-hmm. Even though these things pertain so much more to Simon than they do to Fenton. He goes on to ask Brendan if he's told this guy that he's in danger of being kicked out on his ass and ruining the movie. The next scene is Brendan, quote unquote, breaking up with Fenton, saying we've known each other for a while. They've worked together, they've played together, but ultimately he keeps coming back to the same answer, which is, this is simply not working out on all fronts. That's why they'd be better off if they just broke up.
This scene was the highlight of the episode for me, and there's only one reason.
Was it because of the lighting?
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Light God.
Yeah, talk about light god. Holy shit. I put Fenton likes the mood lighting.
There's like purple on half of Fenton's face, and he's like, "You're breaking up with me?" And asks if it's the lighting. And Brendan says no. And Fenton says the jealousy. And now the lighting's like getting all crazy. Or the resentment. Brendan tells him to calm down. And Fenton calls him a son of a bitch and a pig. That's when he asks Brendan, what about the video film? It tells Brendan, do you know how many other people have asked me to be in their video films? And how I say no because I have loyalty.
I really don't. When I first heard them call it video film, I didn't care. And now every time I hear it, it drives me up a wall a little bit. And I know that's what they're going for. Mm-hmm. But come on.
It's under your skin.
Yeah, it does. As a video filmmaker, it probably drives you nuts.
Uh-oh. Shouldn't have told us.
The way that Fenton jumps out of his chair, and then the lighting, the yellow just like spreads across his face when he's yelling at Brendan even more.
So good.
The lighting goes crazy in this scene.
And honestly, like, so does Fenton.
Oh, yeah.
He goes from angry to crying and then back to angry almost immediately.
I liked the scene where he like gets up in Brendan's face and he's like, "What is wrong with you?" And his pupils go like all crazy.
Yeah.
That was really good. And then, I don't know if you guys caught this, but when Paula first tried to break up with Simon and when Brendan breaks up with Fenton, Fenton and Simon both scream, "Don't touch me."
Oh, you're right.
Oh, wow.
I don't even think Brendan tried to touch Fenton. I think he was just close enough that he's like, "Don't touch me."
Don't touch me.
But you're right. Yeah. Holy shit.
Just the way that Paula and Brendan are treating, they have very, like, because they talk about it later on, they have very similar reactions to how they handled these situations.
Well, I love it because Fenton tells Brendan he made a massive mistake, something that you can't comprehend.
I love the way he said comprehend. I don't know why it tickles me every time.
I did write that down. I was like, how key comprehend?
And tells Brendan you'll have to live with it before slamming the basement door. And then I just love the end of the scene because Brendan to himself claims that actually could have gone a lot worse.
It could have. He could have killed you.
It's the next day. We're on the school playground. Brendan is explaining to Jason and Melissa that they need to set up auditions to recast Fenton, and even says that they broke up. Melissa clarifies that Brendan said him and Fenton broke up, and Jason even asked Brendan, "Were you dating Fenton?"
He like covers his mouth all scandalously.
He's got a little smile around.
So Brendan gives us the short story saying the schedule, the filming, the friendship, just not working out for him. He even says Fenton did not take it well and freaked out on him. Melissa asks what he's going to do, and Brendan says, well, pretend I don't see him, walk the long way from school, eat lunch far away from my normal eating area, maybe under the bleachers, maybe in disguise, and just, do that until they both successfully forget about each other.
Solid plan. Didn't he say he had to wake up at like 5 a.m. to get to school by taking the long way?
Yeah, he said he woke up at 5 a.m. to try out a new route. And that's when Brendan said they need to start seeing some actors. So, right into auditions, we've got Walter and Perry. They're really stumbling through the lines. At one point, Perry even screams, "I have no underpants on." And Walter tells Perry that he's a great actor. Brendan says he's seen enough, and Melissa says they'll let them know. But Jason says, "No, I think we can let you know right now." And Jason proceeds to tell Walter and Perry, "You got the role."
Damn. Jason taking the reins.
I'm running the show.
Brendan explains they didn't actually get the role. At first, Jason says he made a decision and he wants it respected. But then pretty quickly points out they definitely stunk, but they're under a deadline. And Melissa agrees.
So first of all, what is this deadline and who initiated it? They're kids.
I'm pretty sure Brendan said it's an internal deadline. So they initiated it by themselves.
That's the only way you're going to get it to happen.
I get it. I get giving yourself deadlines on shit. It's like, if I don't do it by this time, I'm never going to fucking do it.
You got to get it coming in on time, under budget. That's what Brendan Small will do.
Brendan says they're right, but then tells Walter and Perry, "Great news, guys, you're hired, but I'm sorry, you're fired." And Perry says this is bullshit.
Tell him, Perry.
So next we have Junior reading his lines, and he is struggling. I think he's like, "I am possessed by the ting. Get out of my mind."
I honestly would have got him. I would have hired him on the spot.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you just need that campy guy.
Right, and if it's someone who is possessed by the Septopus, why not? Who cares? After that, we have the guy who was actually in the play that Paula and Simon went to see, reading the lines in a very heavy British accent. Brendan stops him to explain that it's not British, and the gentleman takes it again with a slightly different British accent. So Brendan repeats a couple times, "It's not British," before dismissing him and saying, "Thank you."
Why can't he be British?
Yeah, why not?
There's no reason.
The Septopus lives in the ocean. There's no rules.
That's right. Oh, guys and gals. The next scene. We're at Pump It Up Gym. Coach McGurk is sitting on the Pec Flexor 3000 reading a newspaper.
I completely missed what the newspaper said.
I did not, because it was a picture of Mr. Lynch in his cat costume with a headline that says, "7-testicled monster thwarted by mysterious cat man."
Oh my God. Lynch is a weed-smoking hero.
He
He's
is
a superhero.
vigilante
Oh my God.
cat man.
That makes me so happy.
But also, why did they know this monster had 7 testicles?
They checked,
Oh.
as you do when a monster is present.
Yeah. You're just going to, like, see a couple testicles and not count them?
Be like, wait, there's definitely more than 2 there. I gotta count these bad boys real quick. Oh, that's crazy. Oh my gosh. Well,
Also called
Mr. Lynch is just getting better and better.
Yep.
also called Catman.
Another quick background check as well. When Vito and Biff, the 2 guys that work at Pump It Up, are talking to McGurk, in the background we have that row of animators on treadmills again.
Oh, it's the same exact ones.
Yeah.
They never left.
They've been there the whole time.
Fucking gym rats, am I right, guys?
Hell yeah, brother.
They're still going.
Biff and Vito approach McGurk and ask him if he's going to use the machine or just take it up all day. Coach laughs and tells them he's going to use it and take it up all day. When they ask why doesn't he let someone else use it, Coach asks them if they wanted to work out on their pecs and says, "Don't make me laugh." He tells them their pecs aren't nearly as good as his. And that's when Coach goes to the back of the machine to set the weight at the absolute max. And the two guys even tell him, "Hey, man, that's a lot of weight." But Coach tells him, "Watch these rockets take off."
He got cocky.
Coach is struggling to push up the weights, and inevitably, he completely blows out his pecs. They explode and deflate as Coach screams.
During this scene, I just look over, because we're remote, I look over at Marson's little box where he's in, and he's just looking around the room like, what the fuck just happened? He's like, did anybody else see that?
For a second, I was like, I gotta know, like, what, because, like, I wrote in my notes, just across, like, the top of the page, baffled. This entire episode, I've been baffled. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's happening. I don't understand.
What? This is a bad episode if you hate that secondhand cringe. But one of the things I love about this episode is the Septopus song. Because it comes in first with Fenton, and it's like, the Septopus song. Beware the mighty Septopus. And then it immediately comes back with Jason and Melissa doing like the soothing version for Brendan. Shh, shh, shh. Brendan, shh. Septopus, Septopus. Now, this scene, we have like the absolute bummer version of this song. Beware the mighty Septopus. While that's playing, we've got Brendan in the lunch line, looks over, makes eye contact with Fenton. We see Paula on a merry-go-round, looking absolutely miserable next to Simon, who is having a really fun time. And then finally, we see Coach McGurk in the shower, hugging his deflated pecs and crying. And then the scene ends with Brendan under the bleachers holding Fenton Muley's headshot.
A couple of things. One, I don't know if this was exactly a reference to The Graduate, because that was when that song Mrs. Robinson got really popular, was Who do you, Mrs. Robinson? Jesus loves you more than... Yeah, and then it happens during, like, sad breakup time in the movie. I was assuming that was kind of the reference, why it sounded like that, like Septopus or whatever the fuck. And Walter is sitting with Fenton without Perry in the lunchroom. That makes me upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the fuck?
I think that was just, I don't know.
Explain it, man. Explain it.
They could have put Junior there.
They really could have. And there's another scene happening later on where Brendan does approach Fenton in the cafeteria. And Fenton is basically sitting in the same spot, but just without Walter there.
That's so weird. They could have put any other kid.
Maybe Perry just wasn't there that day.
He was sick.
And Walter would have gone home.
Right.
Probably, honestly.
He would have been sick too.
Well, the following scene, we have a classic Brendan, Jason, and Melissa having a meeting in the sandbox scene. Jason says him and Melissa have been talking. With the schedule in jeopardy, there's only one person for the part.
Shannon.
Honestly.
He's a theater kid. We know it.
He's got other stuff going on.
Well, Melissa says it's Fenton, and Brendan says he totally agrees. I love, because from like here on out, there's this running joke of Jason just doesn't pay attention to anything at all. Because Jason interrupts Melissa to say he thought that Walter and Perry were the right one for the role. And Melissa tells him, Jason, you have to pay more attention when we're talking.
The King's got ADHD. He can't help it.
That's true. But when Melissa tells him that, Jason's reply is, what? But that's when Melissa refocuses her attention to Brendan, saying, wait, did you agree to the Fenton thing? And Brendan said yes. Because of the schedule, they're going to have Fenton back, but he's not going to be present during any of the scenes, so Jason and Melissa will have to direct him. Well, it's finally the weekend, and Paula needed help moving that furniture. So Simon is there and asks if she's ready to move. Oh, God. He asks her if she's ready to move furniture, sweetheart. And Paula looks like so annoyed. So she points out that Coach McGurk was going to show up to help. And that's when he pulls up, gets out of the car, puts on a bra, as he's explaining to Paula that he blew out his pecs.
Like you said, he had that bra locked and loaded.
Yeah, it was in the back seat,
Yeah.
ready to go.
He looks so mad, dude.
What did he call Simon? He called him like Nerdo. He's like, hey, Nerdo.
Nerdo, yeah.
And then you can hear Simon in the background. What?
Now we're on set. Melissa is asking Jason how the framing is, and Jason says it's fine, even though anyone whose head is in the shot is completely cut off. They call action, and immediately Fenton says he's thirsty. So Melissa calls cut and tells Jason to go get him something to drink. And that's when Jason and Melissa proceed to argue about who's going to get Fenton his drink. The whole time Fenton's yelling in the background. I can't. When Fenton's like, listen to the sound of my mouth. I'm like, no, I would rather not do that. Thank you.
Even like the animators even made like the little spit lines.
Great job, animators. Did not have to do that. Great job.
They also didn't have to put the crevices in McGurk's pecs either, but they really wanted to upset us this episode.
It's true.
It worked.
I think that might have been a way so they don't get censored.
Instead of just doing boobs.
Yeah.
Also, when they're like underneath his shirt, they could have just been two balls in there, but I think they wanted to make it a little bit more defined in the animators. So they made it weirdly meatball shaped.
Well, it made my body hurt.
Same.
Regardless of the reason.
Pretty gross. So the first one is Simon attempting to move what looks like a washing machine by himself, and he's struggling pretty bad. Meanwhile, McGurk's just standing out to the side making comments like, yeah, you're not lifting it high enough.
He's not helping at all.
No. And I think at one point even says, this is kind of funny. We have another quick scene where we're back on the set. Fenton is dramatically laying on the ground while Jason and Melissa continue to argue about who's getting him a soda. The next scene, we're back outside and with Brendan talking to Paula, and this is going to be our clip for the episode.
Don't worry, I got it.
What's up with this guy, Mom?
Clear the way.
Brendan,
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't seen you in ages.
Well, that's what happens when you start dating some weirdo.
We're not dating.
Does he know that, Paula?
Yeah, does he know that?
Yeah, I think he does. Deep down.
Because if you're using this guy,
Yeah,
then
if
I-
you're
Hey,
using him, Mom.
you know what? This isn't any of your business. And besides, I mean, why would I use him?
Oh, no.
He can't even get the table on the trot.
Why don't you just break up with him?
Yeah, why don't you just break up with him?
Yeah, Mr. Small, if you're leading him on, I think it's rude.
Clear the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Look, I broke up with the guy. I broke up with him already. It didn't take.
Right.
Can somebody
Mr.
help me
Small,
with that?
Yeah.
have you considered killing him?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. Wait, if you guys are here, then who's directing Fenton?
Fenton is.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Brendan, I don't know if you ever noticed, but he is kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
You should maybe consider firing Fenton or killing him.
Yeah.
Where'd everybody go?
Yeah, well, you know, I kind of did, guys. I mean, I did fire him. I was met with a lot of resistance. But, I mean, Fenton and I are broken up.
You know, dogs do that, Brendan.
Yeah?
Just a note.
Break up with? What do you mean?
Like packs of dogs. One dog that's acting
Yeah.
not the way the pack is,
Uh-huh.
they kill it.
Can't breathe.
And they eat it.
Right. But, like, with humans, that doesn't happen, though.
Probably.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Could someone pull this off of me?
Well, let's kill Simon and eat him.
Let's just kill someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how many times do I have to hint?
Okay, well, we're all in on it, you know that.
Thank you. I mentioned it like 70 times.
I just noticed that McGurk had ice bags in his bra.
So what I love about this scene, one, we hear Simon struggling the entire time. He's like, help, get this off me. And it's just like 5 people having a casual conversation.
About killing him.
Right. But also something I've noticed in this episode specifically, twice now, McGurk, since he's a workout bro, has mentioned something about packs of dogs, the alpha dog. You know, Brendan, when a pack of dogs go against, they go kill it. Like,
He's been listening to Andrew Tate.
McGurk's moving into that manosphere.
Yeah.
Listen, Brendan, you want to get out of the Matrix. Let me tell you how to do it.
Dude, if ever there was a character that would misunderstand the source material of every single thing, it would be McGurk.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I hate that because he's not malicious. He's just so fucking stupid.
He's not malicious, Melissa. Try saying that 3 times fast.
You.
Malicious Melissa, malicious Melissa, malicious Melissa.
Hey, you did a great job.
Hey, thanks.
I'm going to say Fenton hate. Fenton.
I'm going to edit out all the times I messed it up, though.
You didn't, though.
Now they think I did.
I'm going to speed it up and then loop it.
I'm going to slow it down and play before I go to bed.
Smart. We hear a very sad acoustic song while Paula is explaining to Simon that she really has no romantic feelings for him whatsoever. And they can't keep doing this. Simon agrees and says he wanted things to work so badly that he ended up being weird and spoiling everything. He even says it was nice knowing you goodbye. Paula says goodbye, but before she can leave, Simon asks, "Did you want to hang out tomorrow night?" And Paula says, "Sure."
She did it to herself at this point.
She did. And I just remembered something about the clip that we watched I wanted to bring up as well. The first time Jason, when he's like, "Hey, if you're leading him on, that's messed up. You know, you should break up with him." And Paula's like, I tried to break up with him. It didn't take. Jason says, "Have you thought about killing him?" And then I think Brendan starts something, but you clearly hear Paula without missing a beat say yes.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, I'm going to go back and listen to that real quick.
Yeah, go back, because the first time Jason's like, "Have you thought about killing him?" I think Brendan or Melissa says something next, but you clearly hear Paula say yes.
Damn, I missed that.
And like not even skip a beat. "Have you thought about killing him?" Yes.
So not only did Brendan and Paula break up with someone in this episode, but it also didn't work.
It didn't take.
Yeah, it didn't take, in Paula's words.
I mean, it didn't take because did it in public. He's got leverage there.
That's true. Try it again on the way home, I guess.
Jesus, dude.
It's like what people say when you get a proposal in public and you actually don't want to deal with it. You're quote unquote supposed to say yes, and then afterwards be like, "No, like legitimately though, like no, absolutely not. Like I didn't want to break your heart in front of like all these people, but you know, like
Yeah, I've seen a few videos of that.
Oh, yeah. Well, speaking of awkward, we're in the lunchroom and Brendan is approaching Fenton and sits down next to him. Brendan says he's been thinking and he wants them to get back together.
Why?
Yeah, why?
I don't know why. Like, at any point, Brendan has been to the lighthouse with Fenton. He knows what he's like.
And you know, I could see if this scene came before they brought him back on the film.
And then he just kept acting the same Fenton ways, and they're like, "All right, we're done for real."
Right. But it happened after even Jason and Melissa were like, "Yeah, we don't like him. So why are you getting back together with him, Brendan? Because you miss him?
Good question.
Because you miss the abuse a little bit? Hey, we've all been there."
Well, maybe he made up with him so we can have him back on a later episode.
No.
Or maybe we never see him again.
That would make me happy.
Oh, well, fuck.
I
fucking knew it! Damn it!
Fenton tells Brendan, "You think you can just waltz back into the cafeteria, sit next to me with your little lunch tray and your little milk, and think everything's gonna be okay?" Brendan says he understands, but Fenton starts breaking down crying. And Brendan's like, "Yeah, maybe I should just get going." Before Fenton yells, "Wait," and then says, "Hey, everybody, we're back together," and starts singing, "Reunited, reunited, Fenton and Brendan, Fenton and Brendan."
The look on Perry's face, I feel like, says it all.
So many kids in the cafeteria, like, mouth agape, are like, "What are you doing?"
They were like, "We didn't even know you guys broke up. This is weird. Sit down."
The thing that I found very interesting was I did not feel any secondhand embarrassment, and I think it's because I don't like Fenton and I don't feel bad for him. He just makes an ass of himself everywhere he goes. His birthday party, a hotel, randomly, being the light god. Like, he's always, always terrible.
Once Fenton starts singing, Brendan just walks away. Finally, we have Coach McGurk getting kicked out of Pump It Up Gym. He says, "Fine, we're leaving. We don't need them." He turns around and starts walking away before going back in saying, "All right, we'll stay for one more juice."
What does that mean?
Some gyms have like juice bars.
Yes.
What fancy ass gyms are you guys going to?
I've never been to one. I've heard through the grapevine.
Oh, I just meant a gym.
I actually wrote down a Sleep Token lyric for this episode, and it's, "I'd rather be 6 feet under than be lonely."
Oh.
Because they don't want to be lonely. They want to have Fenton, and she wants to have Simon, even though they actually don't.
It's unfortunate. They're not really heart smashers, are they?
No.
Unless it's their own heart. It's their own heart.
Kinda, yeah.
It was their own hearts all along. Oh my god.
Damn.
That's wild.
Over the credits, we hear the bummer version of the Septopus song. And that is the end of Season 4, Episode 4, The Heart Smashers.
Well.
In my heart, breaking up is hard to do is the name of that episode.
What if we switch them?
I think we can. I think we can. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make a declaration.
Yeah.
So it's official.
Tim will get in touch with his people.
Yeah.
They'll talk to those people, and they'll change it.
And that was Season 4, Episode 4. Breaking up is hard to do.
Bum, 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 bum.
And I've always said that.
And my name is Marvin, and I've never seen home movies.
Oh, all right. Well, first things first, as per tradition, Jason. Very interesting Jason episode.
Really was. He was very hot and cold, but like not in a like I hate you type way. At one point, I did quote him when he said, "What was it here? Let's kill someone. How many times do I have to hint?" And then I put Ed probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I've said something like 70 times.
Ed coded.
The part where he's like talking to Walter and Perry, and he's like, "No, I'll tell him. I'll tell him." That was the only gripe I had with him, where he's just trying to throw chaos in the idea that like, "Oh no, we have a deadline. This is why I'm saying." Even though, honestly, go with anybody else, especially if they don't want them to be there. They're gonna yell at them and pull their eyes and ears and tell them to make a movie about Walter and Perry and them.
Grab his arms.
But he wasn't terrible, honestly. I did like him in the beginning. I thought he was going to be the most annoying part of the episode when it started, when he was just going off, but like also just the testicles line made me laugh. So not bad, not, just B-. Nothing terrible.
Fair.
That's not bad.
Very fair. Episode grades. Who would like to go first, or shall I?
I'll go first.
That's Adele.
Season 4, Episode 4, titled Breaking Up is Hard to Do. The first 3 episodes of the season fucking killed every expectation I've ever had of this show.
Yeah.
And then this being the 4th episode, I fear that Season 4, Episode 4 is my Scott's Tots episode of home movies. At the end of the day, was it really well done? Yeah, because it's always well done. But like, they've successfully made me uncomfortable multiple times. The animation with the lighting scene was my favorite scene, as we talked about. But yeah, it was just very uncomfortable a lot of times. So I'm going to take Marson's word baffled, and I'm going to give it a B for baffled.
I think that's fair. B for baffled.
What?
A B?
Yeah, it was still well done. It just made me uncomfortable. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just like, now I'm going to be an asshole about this.
No.
Go ahead, do it, man.
We don't all have to have the same grade.
Yeah.
No, I was so bad. Like
I legit thought you were mad at me for stealing your word baffled. I was like, I'm sorry.
You stole my word. I wrote it in the dictionary. It was mine.
My picture is next to it.
And it was my face while watching this episode.
Looking around the room.
John Travolta meme. No, at one point I literally did just like start looking around, because it was the first time I feel like in my adult life I've been like, is this a dream? Because it was so weird. Like, we've had the A-B plot for a while now. We've had like pretty decent plots come together. Usually if there's one plot I just don't like, there's the other like 2 or the other one that I get to latch on to and enjoy that one. But here, it starts off with the British comedy in the theater, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is enjoyable. And then Simon shows up. I'm like, oh, this sucks. And then we're going back, and when Fenton showed up, I was like, no. And then so it goes from Fenton to Simon to Fenton to Simon, and then randomly it's McGurk screaming, and then his big meatballs. Like I was like, I don't know what's going on, and all 3 plot points, I was just like, not in. Get me out of here! Get me out of here!
Let me out.
It was like well done, and like my prediction earlier was like it won't have any payoff. It kind of didn't.
No.
It kind of just went, and that. Ooh, look at that! Save some for me, and that was it. Let's go get some juice. And if there was any episode of home movies that I did not want to watch again, it's probably this one. It's probably like Pizza Club was like, it had its moments, but this one is the one where I'm like, what is going on? Like, the funny lines were, like, early on in the episode, and the animation... Listen, animators, you always kill it. I'm not here to yell at you. You're not the target here.
But the writers.
Writers. I just don't know what they did. What was in their mind? They're like, you know what I'm thinking for this episode? I'm thinking about 3 things to make the audience uncomfortable. Like, just back to back to back. I really want it's the last season right now. So, you know what? Let's just throw it at the wall. I gave it a D. This is my worst grade I've given an episode.
Hey, it's not an F.
You know, you're right. Oh.
I get it.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. It's one of those things where there's some runners in this episode I like. I like the Septopus song. I like every version of it. I think it's great.
I will say the version during the credits is my favorite version. It's like a little lullaby.
I don't give a shit how much you hate Fenton. I love the Septopus song. And the fact that they originated from Fenton and literally, such a dandy guy. He lives on top of submarines. And Brendan, he does not live on top of submarines.
He eats a lot of pies.
He does not. There's no festivals. He doesn't throw. But it's like all of that to, be part of an episode that like goes out of its way to be like obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
Obnoxious.
I'm telling you, it's the Scott's Tots episode.
Simon is obnoxious. Fenton is obnoxious. The Septopus song slaps. That's what saves it a little bit for me. Very cringy episode, so probably this will... I think this might be one of my lowest grades. I'm going to give it a C. A C for cringe.
Damn, I gave it the highest grade.
That's why I was baffled. That's why I was baffled when you said B.
I just wanted to play on word. I didn't think it was... I don't know.
I don't know, because when Adele and I watched this episode, I expressed to her, I was like, out of the first 5 episodes, they're all so good, and this one is, like, hands down the worst of the 5. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, it's still not that bad. It's not that bad. I've seen this episode a handful of times before. I'll rewatch it again. I think I'm gonna go more B-.
You don't know. Oh, hold on. You don't have to change your grade just because I got upset.
Stick with the C. How many chances are you going to get to rate these episodes badly?
I will say I'm going to stick with my B because the point of this episode, I think, was to make us uncomfortable, and it succeeded.
Yeah, just like in Joker 2, the point of it was to piss off the audience, and they succeeded.
Hey, we're not talking about Joker 2. We don't acknowledge that movie. Not in this house.
But it succeeded.
Not around here, partner.
Yeah, that's getting cut out. Is there anything else...
I need a compilation of every time Tim says it's getting cut out. That's what I need.
That's going to be one of the on the cutting room floor. It's just, that's cutting out. So just like, what's your official grade there, Tim?
I'll leave it a C.
Okay.
I'll leave it a C. So I'm at a C, Adele's a B, and Marson's a D.
Hey, that's pretty nice.
I'll tell you what, if I had to drive 3 hours for that episode, I would have given it an F 100%.
Well, I'm glad you didn't then.
All the episodes that we have slated for you to physically be here for are going to be worth the trip, so don't even worry about that.
Yeah.
Well, anything else we'd like to add to this episode?
No.
I guess I'll just keep the ending short and sweet and say... Beware the mighty Septopus, what a dandy guy. He lives on top of submarines and he's always eating pie. He's always eating pie up there and throwing festivals. He's the grandest guy around with 7 testicles. Septopus, Septopus. Put your headphones back on. Septopus. Unplug your Septopus. Septopus. Septopus.
I don't know, man. Like every time I see Fenton shaking his ass when he's singing, and I'm not a fan of it.
Not the ass, no.
Cut. Did he think we're filming?
Does he think this is the movie?
That's going to do it for this episode of Rewatching Home Movies. We're going to take a 1-week summer break, so we'll be back next week with a bonus episode, and then the following week with Season 4, Episode 5, The Wizard's Baker. If you liked what you heard, check out our Linktree at linktree/RHMPod. There you can like, follow, and subscribe. Send us an email to request free stickers or leave us a 5-star review, like this one from He is Franz Kafka. Just started listening to this, and man, This show is already phenomenal, but Jesus Christ, while listening to this, I'll think, and it's mind-blowing. You guys are a great team to analyze this great show, and I love hearing you guys joke/yell your reactions and more. I never realized Fat Her, and thank you for that. I am also not that far where you guys are in the podcast, but again, please excuse me if he already does, but Marson, I hope you will love Jason as he is my favorite character. Thanks to Chris Bongat for the lo-fi version of our theme song, and Nick for the refresh of our logo. On behalf of myself, Tim, and my co-host Marson, and Adele, thank you for rewatching home movies with us. We'll see you next week. Bye.